I dropped out of fashion school after I debuted my first collection in New York Fashion Week, and after that, I was like, "Oh my God, I made it! I'm so great!" And so I came back and I manufactured like a small collection. I sold very few pieces, so I feel like that was one of like my biggest oopses, but also my biggest like l- learning experience. Like it was a very expensive lesson, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, Instagram was just getting started, and I feel like maybe if I would have done it at a different time when I had a bigger following, when I had, you know, done a little more investing in marketing, it would have been different. But you live, you learn, and um, yeah, I don't really regret it, but it definitely was one of those mistakes that I was like, oh, wow. And I was so bold to just say, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just mass produce.
Welcome to Her Drive Podcast, a female-focused interview series with women of the world discussing their road trips to success. I'm your host, Cindy Kremblatt, a travel expert, business owner, and curious spirit with a knack for meeting fascinating women. Please join me as I hop in the passenger seat and chat with these ambitious women about what drives them, twists and turns, and those pedal to the metal moments. Let's drive. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Her Drive Podcast. I love this new year, and I'm excited because I have a new jacket that I bought last month, and I'm getting lots of compliments here in Texas when I wear it. And I just thought it would be super fun to have Elia De Leon on the podcast. She is the maker of the jacket that I purchased last December, and has a shop in Bishop Arts, Dallas. And it's not just an atelier, but they also have vintage items, and I think you have some new sale items too.
Hmm.
It's just a really awesome women-owned shop, and I love small business. I think it's great to shop from boutiques, and I love whether it's here at home or traveling abroad, finding the actual artisans that are making the goods, or um, you know, or have some sort of influence in the craftsmanship of the items purchased. So it is so exciting to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you.
Of course. Well, I thank you for your artisanship. And I remember everybody when I first saw this, what color would you call it? Like a
I,
magenta?
yeah, it's like a metallic magenta pink. Yeah,
Yeah,
super
like
gorgeous.
leather jacket. It was at a market in Bishop Arts. And I was like, oh my God, that jacket looks so great. We chatted for a few. And I was like, oh, I just need to think about it. I was really trying to
Hmm.
hone my impulse buying and like keep it under check. And then I saw you the next month and I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah,
it's
it was meant to be. It was for you.
absolutely. So I thank you for it.
Well, you're so welcome. You're doing it just as you wear it very well.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Well, I know you've listened to some of the episodes, and really what I like to dive into is like, what is the genesis of your story? How did you come to
Mhm.
be in this line of business? What inspires you? Like what got you going in fashion?
My mom was a seamstress for many years, so I guess you can kind of say I come from generations of dressmakers and women that sew and have been in that kind of field. So I can remember being a little girl and going to pick up my mom with my dad, and I'd be waiting in the car. I'd be sketching and just drawing, and I've always been super creative, and I think it was just always something that was part of me, and I've always wanted to do something creative um, for a living, and I went for it, and we're here.
Amazing.
Mhm.
Um, so whenever you were little, were you assisting your mom at some point, or when did the needle kind of pass to you?
Um, a little bit, not so much. I didn't really get into actually like sewing and making things until I went to fashion school. I was like, you know what? I think I really want to take this serious. Let's try it out. Before I went to fashion school, I was freelance hair and makeup artist. So I was on photo shoots. I was, helping style shoots, or I was doing makeup on shoots, and the photographers would ask me to kind of help and style a little bit here and there. And so that kind of inspired me to pursue fashion. And so I decided to go to school, and that's when I started actually like, getting behind the sewing machine, if you will.
That's
Mhm.
amazing. Were there any, like when you're kind of making that decision to leave one career path that you chose to move into fashion design, was it challenging at all for you, or did it just feel organic?
It felt organic at the time. I was young, so I wasn't really thinking like, oh, you'll make money later. That thought never really crossed my mind. It should have. Now that I'm older, I'm like, oh my God, like what were you thinking? But yeah, it just kind of was organic, and it felt really natural, and I just went for it, and yeah.
Oh my gosh, to be young and bold, and I don't want
Dumb.
to say dumb. You said it. Uh, I think it's that it's not false sense. I think I wish that we could embody it, and I'm trying to bring that back in some spheres
Mhm.
of life, but embody that brazen boldness and
Mhm.
confidence that it's going to work out.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
blinders on. Why wouldn't it?
Right. Like, of course it's gonna work.
Yeah. And if we look at our lives, like we really do manifest, and everything that's around us is a creation of our own mind.
Oh,
Wanted. Mhm.
absolutely, absolutely. I full heartedly believe in manifesting, and also, manifesting is great, but you have to do the work. You can't just like wish for it.
I know.
How great would that be, right?
Absolutely. But I do think that sometimes, like, synchronicities of life add up. And
Mhm.
like just this past weekend, a friend and I were at like a rave type of party,
Mhm.
and we wanted the DJ so badly to um, like mix in some Dolly Parton. And
Uh-huh.
I'm like, let's just really think hard and wish for it. Maybe he will. And he didn't. But then the next morning, I'm at my neighborhood coffee shop, and this stranger starts chatting with me, and he's like, "Oh, I was just at a Taylor Swift rave." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." And I told him the story about my friend and I trying to wish for the Dolly rave, and he's like, or not Dolly rave, the Dolly like mix in. He's like,
Uh-huh.
"You won't believe this, but this upcoming week there's a Dolly rave, like all Dolly Parton."
Oh, wow. Mixes,
so,
that's cool.
so I didn't do any
You
work for that, but
Yeah.
but in like your case, like to actually understand first, okay, I want this, I want to change my work, I want to learn this skill set,
Mhm.
I just want to dive into this industry. It does take work, right? One, first making the decision, then doing the coursework, learning the
Yeah.
industry, right?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of trial and error along the way.
Sure. What were some of your like your errors along the way?
Oh my gosh. I dropped out of fashion school after I debuted my first collection in New York Fashion Week, and after that, I was like, "Oh my God, I made it! I'm so great!" And so I came back, and I manufactured like a small collection. I sold very few pieces, so I feel like that was one of like my biggest oopses, but also my biggest like l- learning experience. Like it was a very expensive lesson, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, Instagram was just getting started, and I feel like maybe if I would have done it at a different time when I had a bigger following, when I had, you know, done a little more investing in marketing, it would have been different. But you live, you learn, and um, yeah, I don't really regret it. But it definitely was one of those mistakes that I was like, oh, wow. And I was so bold to just say, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just mass produce. And it wasn't like a crazy big amount. It was still everything was manufactured in the U.S., which I love that. That's kind of one of my things that I still want to maintain in the future when I manufacture and produce again. But I dip my toes in that pool, and now I feel like I have experience with that. And in the future, when I'm ready to go that route again, I know where to start.
That's so
So,
fascinating to me.
mhm.
I know nothing about the industry other than purchasing.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
so what is it like when like you're designing a collection and then you want to go into mass production? What does it look like?
Oh gosh, it's first of all, it's so expensive. It's so detailed. There's so many layers to fashion. I mean, I don't know. You have your big houses, and you have your, small brands, you have your, you know, regular like people that design stuff just for wholesaling that you buy in boutiques, and then you have like, your big stores, and there's just so many layers. So like let's say I wanted to, do a collection. I would start with the sketches. I would, start with patterning, and then from there we would go into sampling, and then from sampling we would go into, that's when we would go into production. But then there's in between that, there's fabric sourcing, there's sizing, there's getting the pattern right, and then once you have everything done, you go into production. But then you also have to think about like who's going to buy it, where's it going to sell, are they going to buy it, is there a demand for it? So that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm not really doing that, because I want to build my brand and position it to where there's a demand for it first um before I take that big step, because it is so expensive. I mean, you'll be in tens of thousands of dollars before you even go into production. That's just like sampling and doing all of that. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's an onion. There's so many layers.
Oh my gosh, I feel like that's so true in almost any industry, right? The more
Mhm.
you dive in, the more you know that there is to learn,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
so many nuances.
Yes.
Um, this is a silly question, but I just have to know. Why are sizings for every brand seemingly so different? Like, why is there
I
not a universal standard?
I know. I don't know. And if we get into the vintage sizing, it is like, whoa, like so small. Um, I want to say maybe possibly because a lot of stuff is made in overseas, and people are just smaller over there. And you have your standard like sample size model. You have like your fit model they call. And think about like if you have a fit model in China, chances are she's not going to be an American body. So I think that's why sometimes, they might say fit model, but like make it a little bit bigger because Americans are a little bit bigger, and they just never get the fits right, because that's just how it is. And it's just all also depending on the brand and the company and all of that. So I don't trust sizing. I have trust issues with labels.
I definitely do.
Yeah.
It's so horrendous, but interesting. Well, that leads me to like your shop, and you have how long have you had it in?
Yeah, so we're going into our second year. We're
Wow.
going into our second year. I can't even believe I'm saying that. I can't even believe I have a shop, first of all, because pre-pandemic I was just a waitress with a dollar, a dream, and a sewing machine, and this idea that I wanted to own a boutique in the Bishop Arts. And in fact, I drew it in one of my sketchbooks.
Oh,
Oh, is that okay?
it's okay. We'll edit
Okay.
that out. I'm sorry. I don't know
Okay.
what.
No, no
Sorry,
worries.
so, can you start over with talking about your sketchbook?
Yeah, yeah. So, in fact, I always wanted a boutique in the Bishop Arts. It was just an idea I had in my head, and I manifested it. I would sketch in my sketchbook, what I wanted my little store to look like, and at the time I was doing a lot of leather work, so it was vintage in leather, Elia De Leon vintage in leather, and I sketched it, and can I cuss? I shit you not. I shit you not. The door that I sketched, I'll have to show you the sketch. Like it'll give you chills. The door that I sketched is literally the same door that I have. It's like a clear, like a regular, well, like a store door. It has like a window in the middle, and it's my door. It's where I am, and I can't even believe that I'm here. It took a lot of work. It's not easy. When I first got, my keys in, and when I first signed my lease, I was like, yes, I made it. This is great. I don't have to be a waitress anymore. This is gonna be awesome. We're gonna, do so well financially. And no, I mean, we're doing okay, but it's not like it's almost like for me, it felt like this is this is it. Like I made it, because I've been freelancing for 10, 12 years, waitressing, doing this on the side, selling on Shopify, doing pop-ups and things. So I thought that this was the answer to all my problems, and it's not. It's literally the beginning of something new, and it's great. I love it. It's exciting. It's different every day. Um, we're doing great for a young business, and I have to keep that in mind. You're a young business. Just because you've been doing this for 10 years doesn't mean that, you know, this this is going to be great. You just have to work harder now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I applaud you in taking that step, and
Thank you.
sounds amazing. And it's not the first time I've heard this. It's unique to you, but there was a woman I interviewed like over 3 years ago. She's amazing. She's in Puerto Rico. And it was almost a very similar situation. Like colorful walls, here it is, da 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 da. When I interviewed her, she had it posted up in her
Hmm. Oh,
in
love.
and then manifesting this is the building. Um,
Hmm.
I love that. I just think it just shows there's so much connection in doing the things that set your soul on fire
Hmm.
and taking the steps to actually get there.
Hmm.
So what
Hmm.
were the steps for you, and why did you make the decision when you did to open up your atelier?
Yeah. So the pandemic, I want to say the pandemic was a bad time for some people. It was like a double-edged sword for me. I, couldn't work because I was in the restaurant industry, so everything was shut down. So I had time to be home, and at the time I was only really doing leather work, but I also knew how to sew and do all these things. And right before the pandemic, I started freelancing at the Dallas Market Hall, and I got hired to do this huge project, which was turn lots of yards of fabric that they had left over from a fashion show that they draped from like the third or fourth floor onto the runway. So they had all this floral fabric left over, and they wanted to kind of focus on sustainability for their next like market. And so they were like, "Hey, can you make something out of all of this fabric?" They wanted me to make these lab coats. In fashion houses, they wear these like white lab coats, and so they had their fashion team wear those around the market. The market, if you don't know what the market hall is, or the Dallas World Trade Center is where like all the wholesalers are, and so they had like the fashion team like wear these white lab coats. So they thought like let's use that leftover fabric to make 50 lab coats, and we'll give them to the buyers when they come in. And so they were like, "Can you make 50?" And my mom, she was like, "You better take that job. I'll help you." And I was like, "Okay, well, let's do this." So we whipped out 50 lab coats,
Mm.
and then they were going to do like this, reveal fashion show type thing. And then the pandemic hit.
Mm.
So I wasn't able to, I mean, I still got paid, and which was great. But I felt like I didn't get my moment to like, yeah, we made these, blah blah. So that happened, and then the pandemic hit, and so I'm just at home, I'm sewing, I'm doing more things. And I thought to myself, I was like, why am I only focused on uh working with leather if I can do all this? Like if I just made 50 lab coats for, you know, so for someone else, I can make 50 dresses, 20 dresses, whatever. So I started my wheels started turning, and I was like, you know what? You can do it all. Why not? Why am I just so niched on leather work? Like let's just do it all. So then I just decided to kind of use all my skills, and why not? And so um I found a space because I was in talks with another store that I was going to come in and kind of do alterations for them. And so at the time, there was a space for lease right next to them. And I looked at it, and I brought my mom, and she was like, "I don't like it. Let's look for something else." And so we went down the Bishop Arts, 'cause that's really where I wanted to be. This other spot was like off of Tyler, not too far from, still in Oak Cliff, but I saw the spot. I wasn't sure if they were coming or going. I called. They were like, "Yes, it's available. You can come look at it." And I did. And they were like, "Okay, it's yours. Give us the money and your business card." And that was it. I was
Wow.
I was in. Yes, yes. I feel like they believed in me because it was really easy
Hmm.
to get in.
It sounds like it was just meant to
it
be.
it felt very, yeah, it felt very like this is for you, and we're here. And it's not easy, but I'm happy. Not paying, I'm underpaid and overworked, but but it's just a sacrifice that I feel like, you kind of have to make those sacrifices in the beginning. And I'm planting my seeds and watering my garden, and soon the flowers will bloom, and I'll get to enjoy it.
Amazing. I love that, and I believe you without a doubt. That is what. Um, I think one of the cool things that you do is you upcycle.
Uh-huh.
pieces, right? So can you
Yeah.
describe some of the pieces you've done recently?
Yeah, so the Harley Davidson corsets are probably one of our most popular items. We just take vintage Harley tees and we turn them into corsets. We're working with a lot of suiting right now. There's a lot of suiting out, in thrift stores that some, like blazers and skirt sets that we kind of modernize a bit. And yeah, we've actually been doing that well, I've been doing that for a long time. That was actually one of my I had like a little side brand. It was called Rebirth, Reduce, Reuse, Rebirth. And I've been kind of upcycling things forever. I know it's super trendy right now, but in 2009, that was something I was already kind of playing around with. And yeah.
I think I saw recently on your Instagram you took a skirt and
Mhm.
like a knee length or maybe longer skirt, and you turned it into I think like more of like a mini, and then
Yeah.
is it a corset or what? What was the top that you
Yeah,
used?
it was like a little corset top. Yeah, it was a long skirt. I hemmed it. I had enough material to make the cute little top, and now you have this cute little modern set. Thank
So cute. I love it very much.
you. Thank you.
Well, what are some of the things that you're doing for, I guess, for yourself to maintain sanity, sense of self? Do you have any like rituals that you work through?
Um, I not really. I like to clean my house and get organized. Like Mondays, or it's like my day. Like if I don't get organized, if I don't clean, do laundry, set myself up for the week, then I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I
Mhm.
have to kind of give myself grace. And if I don't feel like it, I don't feel like it. Then I'll just lay in bed, until noon or one, and then I'll get up and walk the dog or get a little workout in. But I I'm trying to be graceful with myself because the first year was just go 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 and I burnt out. But now the shop is closed Monday, Tuesday. The first year was just closed Monday. But Bishop Arts is kind of sleepy during the week. Monday, Tuesday, a lot of shops are closed, so I follow suit. Um, and really, mm, that's really about it. I just kind of day by day, I listen to my body. If I feel like I need rest, I need rest. If I feel like I need to exercise to kind of, you know, get in a better mood, then I will. It's just, you know, facials and doing my hair and things like that, watching TV. But
Yeah,
yeah, it
that's
just
so
depends.
interesting. I feel like so many of us don't listen to our bodies. So
Mhm.
how do you like? Is that just innate for you?
What's that?
Is that just innate for you to listen
Yeah,
to
I
your body?
think so. I think so. Yeah, it's like my body will tell me like, girl, you need to just if I feel like I don't want to get up, then I don't get up. Then I'm sleeping in. And I try not to feel guilty because at first the guilt, oh, the guilt of like, oh my God, there's a million things to do.
Hmm.
And then it's like, okay, well, you only got one thing done, and it's okay. I don't beat myself up anymore because I'm pretty much a one man show. Well, me and my mom, she helps. She's head of alterations at the everything else like store operations and managing the website, updating the website, all of that. I mean, I wear so many hats, and sometimes I just need a day off from wearing no hats.
I
Yeah,
understand. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure it can get overwhelming. And if you
very.
didn't take days off, then you would crash,
Mhm.
totally crash.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
So why did you want to be in Bishop Arts rather than somewhere else in Dallas?
um it's just such a cute little spot. I thought about Deep Ellum also, but Deep Ellum is kind of there's too much nightlife, and there's I don't know. It's just not. I feel
Mm,
like the people that would go there would just be more people wanting to drink and party versus shoppers and buyers. Um, it's just such a cute little neighborhood, and it's I've I've always been super drawn to it, and also being from Dallas and Bishop Arts being a neighborhood that's changing so much, and I just thought that it just would be a perfect place for a store like ours, and so far it's been great. Everyone's so welcoming, and there's a lot of young entrepreneurs also that inspire me so much, and I just love being there.
that makes
Mhm.
perfect sense. And that's one of the
Mhm.
reasons I wanted to move to this neighborhood,
Mhm.
where I live now, is because
Mhm.
I wanted to be around people who were kind of the masters of their craft, or like
Mhm.
the dreamers who are actually doing their dream and making it happen by
Mhm.
setting up these kind of boutique storefronts.
Mhm.
They're just they have personality, right? I don't like
Yeah.
stores, things like that all too much.
Charm. Mhm.
Yeah, charm is the perfect word. It's very charming.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, when you kind of look forward into your future, what are you hoping happens as far as like your design and with your business?
Yeah, well, right now I'm taking it day by day. I'm uh, the first 3 to 5 years of a business are the hardest. So I have so many ideas and so many hopes, but right now for the next 5 years, I would like to focus on the shop so it can do well and yeah, but future, like let's say 10 years from now, I would like to um, go into mass production, be in stores, be in Nordstrom's, things
Mhm.
like that. Keep it manufactured in the U.S. Um, you know, yeah.
I love that. And why do you want to keep it manufacturing in the States?
um, I feel like it's important to me because um, hold on, let me think. Uh, I don't know. I just want to bring back some of those jobs to the U.S. and everything's made in China now, and well, there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't know. I just always have taken pride into made in the U.S., a USA made product.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. So.
Absolutely. I will tell you, sometimes I get
Mhm.
really annoyed, and I don't know what this is saying about me, but I will buy pieces that are relatively expensive.
Mhm.
I look at the tag and they feel nice, like they feel like they're
Mhm.
good quality. But then I look at the tag and it says like made in China or
Mhm.
India. And
Mhm.
I always wonder, like, I I know a little bit about the working conditions and things like that.
Mhm.
I saw with that brand Shine,
Mhm. Mhm.
like it can be pretty bad for some people. And I just wonder, like, why are we spending so much money? Why am I spending so much money on this piece that was
Yeah.
manufactured over there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and when I can, many times I found pieces here made in the States that are
Mhm.
equal price or less
Yeah.
and great quality. I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, I mean, I actually did a collaboration with Shein not too long ago. They have a program where they invite designers to produce design a collection and they manufacture it. I got a little bit of royalties, not much, but um I had a hard time with it first because I was like, well, it's not sustainable. That's one of the things that I want to focus on. That's another reason why I want to keep it made in the US, sustainability and quality control. Um but I went ahead and did it, and it was good. Some of the pieces there, it's cute. It was a good experience. I'm not gonna lie, but
Mhm.
I decided to do it because I wanted it to kind of open up other opportunities, and I wouldn't mind collaborating with other big brands, but we got to do a little more branding first
Sure. So
before that.
how does that work when you like to match with them?
They reached out to me, actually.
Oh,
They reached
interesting.
out to me. Yeah, they reached out to me, and so far they've collaborated with over 2,500 designers all over the world. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. And how many
So
pieces did they want you to create?
I created 11 pieces, I believe, and it was a long process. It was they reached out last December, and then by like March or April, I had to have in all my sketches and all my tech packs in for detailing, and then they started sending me samples, and I really couldn't change anything about it. That was the only thing, and there were certain fabrics that were like, no, you can't pick that fabric or XYZ. So it was it was a little bit challenging, but that's how it is when you go into production. And also, Shein, everything is cheap, so they're like,
Mhm.
no, you can't use that. That's too expensive or whatever. But it was a good experience overall. I mean, I would do it again. And if there's designers out there, they can actually reach out and apply to collab with them. So yeah, it was
So
fun.
I've always wondered. I'm like, because there's like Pretty Little Thing, Shein.
Hmm.
I don't know, like you name it.
Boohoo. Yeah, there's a lot of everything's
Like,
made
I'm like,
overseas.
who's designing all of these clothes? Because and they've just it's like endless amounts.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I that's interesting. They don't just have like an in-house team.
They do. They definitely have in-house teams. So does Shein. Shein is just doing this like on the side. Like they're
Oh.
yeah, they're a huge conglomerate. I mean, they're whipping out designs, different designs every day. That's just the way fast fashion is. People get bored. You can buy a piece for 16, $17. Like, it's a problem, yes. But I know, just being in the space that I am, and especially because, I do a lot of vintage and I do want to keep it sustainable. I've noticed a lot of like shaming on people that buy fast fashion.
Mhm.
And I hate seeing that. I hate seeing that because it's really not the consumer's fault, and it's like fast fashion has created this, like, I don't know if I want to call it an ecosystem, but like, think about the people that are making the things. This is their livelihood. Are
Mhm.
they treated fairly? Probably not, but that's how they make a living. A lot of them, that's what they live off of. They that's what they depend on, these jobs. It's unfortunate. So don't blame the consumer, blame the conglomerate. Don't be upset if someone wants to go buy something from Shein. Maybe that's all they can afford, or maybe they don't have the eye to go to a thrift store and find a piece. It's sustainability looks different for everyone, and I hate to see people bashing people for buying fast fashion or buying whatever they can afford or whatever they're comfortable with. So,
Mm.
so
That's
yeah.
such a beautiful, beautiful perspective. I've never heard anyone
Mm,
say that before.
mm, mhm.
That makes,
Yeah,
I mean, one, just talking about the livelihood of people, and
yeah,
yeah, it's it's such a compassionate way of looking at it.
yeah, yeah. It's I definitely want to. That's another reason I want to make it made in the U.S. again, is because I want to be able to give people a trade, or give them a livelihood. Why not? I think if I can teach someone, or if I can one day have my own factory and pay people well and treat them well, then I that's overall like my biggest goal. And
Mm.
you know, we'll see.
That's so
Yeah.
beautiful. So, where do you think you developed that outlook?
I don't know. I think maybe because we're immigrants, because my parents, well, I was born in Mexico, came here when I was really young, and um even though my parents weren't didn't have really have an entrepreneurial spirit, and they just kind of played it safe, I want more. I want so much more, and we didn't get this far to get this far. So I want to do something good, great with my life. I want to make a difference, maybe in someone's life, and maybe inspire someone, or who knows if my business will succeed, from here to 5 years. But I have a skill set that I learned along the way, that I can always, you know, be a seamstress. I can always help with uh, developing a brand, and yeah, I that's where we're at.
That's beautiful. It makes perfect sense. So, if you could go back in time and ask, or excuse me, tell a younger you some words of advice, what would you say, and how old would you be?
um, Good question. I would tell my teenage self, maybe 16, 17, high school, to be self-aware, to just think about your consequences, think about how your consequences are going to affect people around you, how your consequences are going to affect your future. Think about your financial future, and yeah, just be self-aware. Look around, read the room.
Mm,
Mhm.
that's interesting. I've never heard an answer like that. Why would that be your advice?
Um, because as an adult now, I look back, and I think of how I thought back then. And I just think, like, wow, if you would have just taken a moment to look, and to see that everything, my mom would tell me, like, oh, think about XYZ, and I'd be like, whatever. She was right. She
Yeah.
was moms are always right.
Hmm.
And maybe I probably would already own a house by now and have a rental home, or I would be maybe further in my career than I am now, if I would have just been a little bit more self-aware, and um had a little more discipline, if you will. Yeah, I think just be self-aware, and think about things, think about consequences, and I think that would have been really helpful.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I would. give that advice to younger me at certain points too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here you are,
Yeah.
lesson
Look
buying your
here.
job. So there's no
Yeah.
timeline other than yours. But
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
you're welcome. What is it about fashion that you enjoy as your creative outlet rather than choosing something else?
Everything about it. I mean, since I was little, I've just always been super drawn to clothing, to fashion history, to the way things were made or why things, were made. I just love everything about it. Like it's a form of expression. It's we wear it to protect ourselves, but we also wear it to look cool. It keeps us warm. It keeps us cool. And it's just I don't know. I just love everything about fashion. I love creating. I love making. I love seeing people's smiles when they wear something I made. Hence, like the jacket that you have. Um, it's just a beautiful thing. It's just a beautiful way to connect with people. Clothing is. Yeah, I love it. I love fashion. I love the history of fashion. I love it all.
That's so
Mhm.
beautiful. Yeah, I
Mhm.
definitely think that clothes and jewelry are wearable art.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
agree.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thanks so
Yeah.
much for joining me in this conversation.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else you'd like to share before we say our fare thee wells?
And, just go for it. If there's anyone out there that has a dream or a passion, just go for it. You might have to have, it might be a hobby for a little while, and you might have to do, other things to keep you afloat, but don't give up on the dream.
That's so powerful and positive. Absolutely. And where can everybody find you and your shop?
So we're located in the Bishop Arts, 509 North Bishop Avenue in Dallas, Texas. You can also find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is by Elia De Leon. And yeah, give us a follow.
And a buy. It was such fun stuff. Amazing.
Thanks.
Well, thank you so much, Elia.
You're
I loved
welcome.
learning a bit more about you and your story,
Well,
and
thank you.
I'm sure I'll see you soon. I'll pop in. All
Sounds good. We'll be there.
right. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Her Drive with Cindy Kramblatt. If you want to know more about today's guest or know a fascinating woman you'd love for me to interview, please see the show notes, visit Instagram or her-drive.com. And please, 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 if you love the show, leave a review on iTunes. Thanks for riding along and subscribe to join our next woman and her drive to success.